Hi everyone, for my tribute speech I decided to tell you guys a little bit about my dad just because it was his birthday a couple days ago, so I figured what better present to give him than to tell him how much I appreciate him. It's always been said that a girl's first love is her father, and I believe that wholeheartedly. My dad wasn't always the godliest man, but he taught me how to love Jesus and appreciate the life I had been given. Too often I take advantage of that, which is why I've decided to share with everyone why my dad means so much to me. I may not have come from a home with both my mother and my father, but when my parents divorced when I was 3, my dad quickly took on both roles with ease. Up until I was about 10, my dad was a firefighter, and he worked crazy hours and was always working his days back to back with hardly any time off. Yet I don't remember a time when he wasn't there. He was there for every Christmas, every birthday. He was there for every one of my softball practices and every one of my softball games. My dad began taking me to church at a young age, but I wasn't sure what it meant. That was the time we had together, though. Every Sunday, we always went to church. It was just the two of us for a few years after my parents divorced, but my dad later met someone, and she brought to the family a brother and 2 sisters for me. I wasn't really sure about a big family, but my dad was always by my side, reassuring how great it was going to be. My dad continued to take me to church along with my siblings, and we all started going as a family. And when I was about 10 years old, I got the most life-changing news. When my parents had divorced, my mom never come back, but at this time she had decided to return. My dad saw how naive I was to not even realize she had been gone for several years, but he continued to do what made me happy, which shows how selfless of a person he really is. My dad has always been selfless and has always gone above and beyond to make sure I was happy and taken care of, above himself and above anyone else. My mom coming back into my life was a huge adjustment, and my dad handled it with the biggest smile on his face because he knew it made me happy. My dad and I have been through several trials and tribulations together, especially as I grew older, when my stepmom developed an alcohol problem. At this point, I was old enough to understand, and I soon learned where my naiveness came from. My dad could never see on his own the toll that my stepmom's alcohol problem was taking on the family. But I remember clear as day, as does he, when I went up to him and said, "Why do you keep forgiving her when you know it's going to happen again?" And this is when everything changed for my dad and I. My dad has always had my best interest in mind, regardless of what he had to do. It was unfortunate in this case that it meant divorce, but my dad and I were ready to move on, just the two of us again. Let's fast forward to growing up. My dad remarried again. I have the most fantastic sister and stepmom now. We have been a family of 4 for 8 years, and it has been the best 8 years. My dad always told me growing up that I could do anything in the world and go anywhere I wanted as long as I had the grades to do so. So after high school, he sent me off to Texas, where I had to say goodbye to him for the first time in 18 years. He didn't once try to hold me back. He gave me the world like he always said he would. I often took advantage of everything he did for me. He provided me with a roof over my head, God in my heart, and an education to pursue. Being away from my dad has made me appreciate him that much more. I grew up saying please and thank you, but I never felt like I truly thanked him for everything he's given me, which is why I'm choosing to do it now. My dad is the most selfless human being I know. He puts me first, my stepmom first, and my sister first. He has a heart of gold along with the most stubborn head, all qualities I've gotten from him. If it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't know how to fix my car or build furniture or hang things on the wall. But my dad taught me life skills, the important ones, unlike geometry. He taught me to love, he taught me selflessness, and most of all, he taught me how to walk with God.